She said, that was my husband.
How you doing?
Hey, he said, your husband's pig? Said, yeah, this morning he loaded it in a trailer to take it to Munster, have it processed, and when he got to Munster, it wasn't there. Also,
We know right where it's at.
well, the pig said, well, I'm sorry, I shot it. It wasn't long ago, though, still doesn't.
Oh, good. You know, right down the road from there, they got my grandkid's dog and pig kid.
Did he?
Couldn't find the dog. One morning I drove along, looked over the bar dish, there laid the dog. The dog was split from one end to the other.
They eat the same way.
You darn right they will.
Yeah, we all that, man. You say you don't want any more? Yes. Got it. Mary, 85,000. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you Jim? Good. How are you, neighbor?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good.
Now, we'll get into this, get it all
I'm
figured
just gonna
out.
get right up here in front. So you have to step way down there. and you can't sit.
Can you sit back?
And you too, stay down there and you can sit.
You been to Colorado, you can handle it or what?
I hope, I know, that's what I thought.
Just contaminate.
Not with Shirley, you come out Shirley spraying you down and wiping you, I mean, believe me, I have no germs on you. On the side,
That's impossible, y'all know better than that. That's totally.
one thing, she's a woman, some things she's redheaded.
Exactly. How about y'all?
All
Good.
been cabbing out
How are you
and
doing?
standing up every 2 hours, and I was in the house last week.
Oh, no.
And,
All right.
between the two of them, sleep kind of slow. I kind of missed out on one this morning.
Dang it.
But, no,
Thank you.
cabbing out, that's always fun
That's a
anyway.
mess. I got where I'm a weekend anymore. I ship one of my brothers. We're gonna do that. He does all our work. After stuff. So, the him and boys are there real late.
Well, used to dad does it all,
Right.
but he got to the point where he can't.
Yeah.
So, but he don't want to give it up.
Oh, no.
So he keeps him down at his house, and I drive up there 3 times and I'm checking.
Oh, no.
It's not like he wouldn't go to put it in my barn where it's right there.
Yeah, well,
at
you're
the
right.
house. That's why I gotta go out and get him picked up, drive all the way to his house.
Oh,
half a mile.
Well, I got over my incubation period.
And then he'd keep him behind the house in the patch instead of in the lot.
Oh,
And then when that last one started having another day, had to get her to the vet.
oh.
And, so, well, yeah, but when you have no lots, it's
When
fun
did he
getting
get
in the
it?
trailer.
Yeah.
Luckily, the boat was in, it wasn't too bad.
See, I hadn't been
Well,
around.
I kind of done a weenie when it comes to that last,
I've
that
been around
few years
here
ago,
too.
but I don't run anything that doesn't know how
Shirley's
it's
good to
done
go.
already. So,
Yeah.
my brother
I ain't
does all the
worried.
new stuff there and that, and he likes it that way, they keep him warm. Out of the house, and it's also got two young strapping boys that can go ahead, so.
Yeah. They got daughter, and she was like, third,
Oh, well.
The Young County Commissioners Court will come to order in a regular meeting, the last meeting of the calendar year, Monday, December the 28th, 2020. It is 9:31 a.m. Make note that this proceeding was published and posted in the manner for the time required, and that with the exception of Commissioner Pruitt, the rest of the members of the court are present. If it's convenient, please stand. I'll ask Commissioner Lally for the education and pledges.
Let's pray. Father, we come before you today, just want to thank you, Lord, Father, for this opportunity to serve, Father. Father, we just ask you, Lord, that you continue being with those that are badly sorry that are ill with this disease, Father. I pray, Lord, you be with Matt, Father, and I pray that you get over it and those others as had it, Father. I pray, Father, that you continue to cover it. Father, be with those that lost loved ones that were numerous in this last year. Father, we just ask that you continue to be with them and comfort them during this time. Father, I pray that you continue being with our situation with the presidential race, Father. I just pray, Father, that that's available in this situation here. Father, be with us today to make decisions in court. I pray for wisdom and guide and direction in all we say and all we do. And Father, we just thank you for another year. Give us with faith, in precious name we ask. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Number 3, public comments, announcements, presentations, there's no action items for the last several months. We started out with COVID-19 report. As of Christmas morning, we had tested 8,964 persons. 7,099 of those persons were negative. 1,843 positives. There are 22 tests pending at that time. Total positives were 159. The total positives that were inside or that were Young County residents is 117 on that day. Recoveries, 1,665. We suffered 19 deaths within the county, and there is one person in the hospital at that time. We got a little meeting last week where we were apprised and brought up to date on COVID-19 vaccination program, what kind of protocols, things would be taking place when the vaccine began to arrive here in Young County. To my knowledge, it has not, but apparently through the paper and things, it sounds like maybe there has shipments been scheduled for Young County. We expect to receive, we won't receive the Pfizer vaccine, but we, I don't know, I can't remember his name. Moderna, yeah, the Moderna vaccine. I believe there were 700, I believe it quoted 700 doses of that vaccine shipped, I believe 200, I think 200 to Alny and 500 here in Graham for the medical associates, I believe. That's what I read in the paper. I believe that's correct. So I'm not sure if those have arrived yet or not, or if it's again. I know that we discussed all of the medical community would be the first in line, those that are attending to those that were ill with COVID would be the first to receive the vaccine. I believe the elderly and those confined in the nursing homes and things, including their caretakers, would be next in line, and emergency medical technicians, and they're on down. Obviously, the general public here would be the last sectors to those that did not have health issues that were underlying. So it's all been, it's in action. Just don't know when we're going to receive it. So, but hopefully within the week, and if not, early next week. We're live on YouTube. Our call-in number, if you want to comment on any of the items that are on the agenda, is 940-221-2107. Anyone that is watching this via YouTube may call in on any of those items. There may be some little delay there, but they may do so. Other item on the no actions is congratulations to Drew Springer, now Senator Springer, being elected to Texas District 30. And then one other announcement, we've set the qualifying or the swearing ceremony for county elected officials at 11 a.m. January 1st, 2021. For all those who need to do that or want to attend, we will go on ahead and post that as a quasi meeting in the event that more than two commissioners or members of the court, that is, present at the ceremony. There will be no other business to transpire or transact at that ceremony other than the swearing of the officials and executing of those documents that are necessary. Is there anything else that we might want to mention on the events or any comments? Okay, item number 4, consider county clerk minutes of previous meetings, that be December 14th, 2020. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections you'd like to?
So moved.
Rogers. Motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Rogers. To approve the minutes as presented. All in favor? Aye. 4-0.
In a hurry.
No.
You're wrong, Commissioner.
Item number 5 is consider treasurer finance report updates from pledges. Ms. Ann Davis.
Have November's, all balanced. Oh. We're starting to get the tax money in. In December, we received about $900,000 in the month of December.
How many?
So, about 900,000, a little over 900,000. So everything looks good in November and we're just rolling right along. Don't have any issues anywhere.
Few days coming now.
Yeah.
Signatures from that.
I do, and this one's yours.
There we get those two. Is that all we need to,
I reckon so. I don't,
no security
no, they-
items there, securities on there?
I don't think we had any securities. Not yet.
That's what they will treasure report.
I'll second that. Motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Mr. Pruitt. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Item number 6, all for budget amendments, vouchers.
I always have vouchers. Total of the vouchers is $167,902.10. And out of the general fund is $111,817.73.
So moved on the vouchers.
Second that.
Roger Sipes. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Roger, second by Commissioner Sipes to approve vouchers payable as presented, noting that there are no budget amendments. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. 4-0. I'd like to bring up supplemental number 1 here. I failed to get that on there. It will be ratification contract for purchase of, I believe it's 2 Mack trucks and the financing thereof with First National Bank, Wichita Falls, Precinct 4. We had this item our last meeting where, we did have that contracts here afterwards to execute. We're done so, and so this is a ratification of what we did in our previous meeting.
So moved.
Okay.
Motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Rogers, to approve those contracts, to ratify those contracts. All in favor? Aye. 4-0. Item number 7, discuss and consider employee bonds. I believe there's 4 in there. There's Spencer Key and Young County Community Supervision Corrections Department, $5,000. Marshall Sumter, Assistant County Auditor, in the amount of $5,000. James N. Hammond, Fort Bell Caretaker, in the amount of $5,000. Timmy Lynn Hall, the Young County Court Administrator, $5,000.
I move they be approved as presented.
Second.
Second. Have a motion by Commissioner Sykes, and second by Commissioner Wiley to approve those bonds on those specific persons, all in favor? All at $5,000, 4-0. Item number 8 is discuss and consider alliance for community solutions. This is ACS or otherwise known as iInfo. That's an annual license renewal fee that is budgeted. I don't want it might be something we might want to consider. It's becoming very lightly used in our purposes. So I guess in light of that, I'll open it up for a little bit of discussion, and otherwise I don't want to postpone that at least till our next meeting before we approve it if we decide we want it. Now, I don't know that I've used it. I don't know that I've used that or our emergency management coordinator used that at all. Maybe, and I don't think I've used it maybe once this year. So that's there's a lot of other things online, and at the end of all Zooms and Facebooks and all those kinds of things is sort of rendered that a little bit maybe questionable for us to be involved.
If you have adequate resources in other places, I see no reason to spend taxpayers' money in something that may be redundant and unnecessary.
Well, tend to agree with that. I'd like to have one little discussion, I guess, with the administrators of that.
I suggest that we table it until next meeting.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good move. I haven't talked to them. I might just come off without visiting with them. That's
I'll second that.
but I'm not sure that it's not nearly as necessary or as useful as it was a few years ago. We have a motion to consider January 11th. Second by Commissioner Pyle.
Yeah.
Side. All in favor?
So basically, in this, we're paying for a license and we're paying for phone minutes?
Well, yeah, it takes the license to do that. With that license comes the usage of their product, I guess, in public instances. For several years, it was pretty good. We put it out there and the public would, I guess that it would be available for the public to put their data in there with regard to what their physical addresses were and what weather-related issues they wanted to hear about, what city-related issues, county-related issues, and several other counties within the area, if they wanted those notifications for those things. Used for emergency situations such as water main breaks and water boil orders, and severe weather coming through the area. But most of those details have been covered in Facebook, other things like that.
We got Facebook, Twitter now.
Yeah, that's all true. Got the tsunami warning for Greg the other day.
So I visited with Joe, the administrator, on that a little bit, and make him maybe aware of that. And I act on it immediately. I just got this, I think.
Well, we've had that for about 5 or 6 years,
Oh,
a while.
man.
I remember those early meetings. It was sliced bread, and
Yeah. He was pretty cool.
I can see where
It started out as iInfo, what it was, then it progressed to Cross Timbers ACS membership. There's several other counties that had it and that dropped off of it. Once, when some other avenue dropped it off. there's several different, there's Code Red, it was similar to Code Red, and those applications. What do you think about that, I'll visit for Joe in the morning, like we might not be doing that. I think we have other avenues to get that information out. All in favor of that, that's 4-0. Okay. Item number 9 is discuss, consider an Architects Regional Planning Commission and the Young County portion of the aging program match. This is something we do every year, and it's a program that they administer, aging program. Whatever, our course $1,562.27. I think there's a exhibit in there where it lays out what all the members and architects, the member counties, what their charges are. I move that we pay that invoice for the aging program at Architect Regional Planning Commission.
I'll say that, it's budgeted out of minimum.
Excuse me?
It's budgeted out of minimum.
Yeah. Get it.
We still senior citizens get a little bit.
We'll be all in favor of that? We need, item number 10 is discuss, consider a proposal from James Lane Air Conditioning and Plumbing for replacement of one EVO boiler at $9,439. I think that cost proposal is in your, we've had them down here, James Lane has done us a pretty good job, and they've been real responsive to the work, whether it be emergency or something routine.
Do they have a breakdown on what the cost is, what the machine is versus the labor and everything?
We don't have that. We didn't have that breakdown. I understand those units cost a little over $5,000, $5,500 so. The rest of it will be for the installation and the synchronization, I guess, of those units. Our initial unit was installed in the winter of 2010-11. That was a unit that was on one of those energy saving grants.
Yep.
And then the 2 additional ones, that proved today when we had any kind of harsh weather, that proved to be inadequate, and it needed a little bit of booster. So we added 2 more, and that was, when was that, Cheryl? 2014?
Yes, it was.
When he was 14 or 15, and it was at a cost of $41,000. During that process, they repositioned the one that they had originally put in and had to put up piping in and all of the vent system and all of that. That other, I think it was a $41,000 project. That was 2. We want to further discuss this or get a little more information on that or get a breakdown.
Cheryl, you'll need an itemization before you can pay it anyway, won't you?
Yes, on the, like the quote,
So,
we have to go with it, but
so we need to decide that we approve the total amount.
Let's get them to break it down for us, so we can see what
Get it.
Hold off on this till January meeting.
Yeah, it's all over the break, kind of get a breakdown of what.
Judge, did they say how long it would take when they ordered the machine?
I
to
think
get it?
they estimated it to be about 2 days. Take about 2 days to install.
When the snow doesn't come and we freeze it in.
This is,
But it would be with the EVO boilers, the same model, type, same style. And that would be necessary for these to communicate with one another. I don't think that they mix them. They were gonna give us a proposal for a whole system replace with something that they carry, but after that person came down here and evaluated circumstances, he said, no, he said this needs to be this replacement to get the life of those other boilers, which should be another 5 or 10 years. And he recommended the EVO, and he said that's really the only way to go to get those things probably.
And EVO is a unique animal. There are not very many people around Texas that supplies it. No. There's one company, one in Houston, and one in Dallas, and then that's in this region. Then you go to Oklahoma, Oklahoma has a region. But, they're a good system.
Single supply point sounds expensive.
For us, they're a little bit temperamental,
Yeah.
so it doesn't take anything for them to stop their communication, lock them offline.
That's
Any
electronics.
leaks and electricity or anything, it's like that. But that's technology, I guess.
Yeah, there's that technology again.
So, okay, we've, got a motion, Mr. Wiley, to consider this on January the 11th.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Sykes, all in favor? Aye. 4-0. Item number 11 is, let's move to item number 12. It's one minute till 10. Bid open. She'll get up and get prepared, we'll get right into her bid opening. You can start preparing anyway.
Sing and dance. I did get, 2 bids in. I got 1 bid for culverts and 1 bid in for road materials. That's all I have.
Okay? I think you can go ahead and get those open and ready to read.
Sing and dance.
It's a letter over you got.
It has many cuts on
You
it.
get paper cut, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we're ready.
okay. I have 1 bid for culverts. It's from J&N BBC. And I'll go make a copy of it. Started around and looking, I'll go try to make a copy of it. Do you want to do these separately or go ahead and talk about both of them?
Well,
I go make
since we
copies.
just have one bid out.
What he's gonna be doing, he's gonna be handling Wilson culverts.
Is Wilson gonna pay him to handle them at the same price that we get them from, directly from Wilson?
He'll be just saying the same price. Matter of fact, he's,
On the same price, I see no reason not to buy
Is
them.
that, we got a price sheet there?
yes,
Sir.
That'll be, that's the price on the
that's the
side.
price sheet, yes. It's gonna be the same thing as if Wilson had bid it themselves. It's gonna be going through J&N.
Won't be free delivery, but it'll be local
It'll
delivery.
be local. That way, if we got in the bind and we need something, we can go down here and get it.
One at a time.
Yeah. So have to keep our own inventory, we keep it there.
Sounds like good business.
Steve, J&N feed and supplies is gonna be a deeper, of course.
Wilson culvert.
And I also sent contact, but I didn't get any response this year.
Contact. I can't get on deal with it.
Okay. Motion to accept that bid.
So moved.
Yeah, and I'll second that. I just know it's practical.
Well,
Okay, we're gonna,
Makes sense.
we're gonna accept that bid.
Makes sense.
Spending y'all's money.
It's a little higher than last
Why?
year,
Is it Wilson? Oh,
though. It's a little higher than last year.
Little bill, but
okay.
Did they vote on it?
All in favor? Four.
And I have one rock bid from Zach Burkett.
is this guy in Ingram or just gonna be the same as it was last year?
Is Ingram, I didn't get anything from Ingram, but
Kind of reminded Lance, but I think his wife's health is extremely bad right now. He might be distracted or something.
okay. Judge, did you want to look at this one? Both
I'll
of
get
them?
off the other. Same bids, so nobody else will bid. You accept the check. Like we accepted that.
You got flex now, any bid now?
Not at Mayo currently.
Not ma'am, okay. In the
That
future? In the
might
future?
change in the future.
Future.
Coded, grade 4. And Washington, okay. $40.
$40.
Okay, road material.
So moved.
Ollie,
Yeah, I second.
Roger. That's, accepting, Zach Burkett bid. Does that include any extras or anything like that? Mark?
No, sir. What's there?
Okay.
I think that covers everything, doesn't it, Commissioner? That y'all needed.
That don't include the Ingram, right, so we'll need to tell,
Ingram didn't send anything.
we'll need to tell Matt about that, so.
Okay, he'll have to give me that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
4-0. I got the round number. I got item number 11. Discuss, consider purchasing ankle monitors for condition bond for rails.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Clint seen me and talked to me about this as an opportunity that they're running a special on these ankle monitors. Right now, we're leasing ankle monitors. We pay so much a day for each one of them, whether it's on somebody's ankle or if we have anyone on the shelf, it costs us to have them on the shelf. So what they've been doing, Clint's been doing is, instead of keeping them on the shelf, having to pay for them, he sends them back. But in reality, what that creates is if we get somebody coming out and we don't have an ankle monitor, they can't get out of jail until they get an ankle monitor. So that costs the county more money to wait for that ankle monitor to come back. So in reality, if we can purchase these at a reduced rate, we can put more money in our pocket and not have to worry about shelf maintenance for the ankle monitors. It'll be more readily available to us. So I look at it, it makes sense to me. But
What keeps us from buying too many or buying not enough?
well, it's the same thing. As an average, we've had as many as 6 to 7 out at one time. So we haven't had any more than 10. And my deal is if we buy 10, at the reduced rate, it's like getting 2 for free. So it makes more sense to do that 10 lot number than it would be to do 5. Then have to go in there and rent 2 or 3 along the way, or pay the extra money if we would purchase some after the 5. But we have never had 10 at one time doing it. But
I thought the prisoners paid for all the costs anyway, didn't matter what it cost.
Well, they put up a $400 deposit on it, and then if they paid all their fees and fines, they get that $400 back.
But they basically pay all the daily, we pay a daily rate.
Yeah, it's the daily monitor.
Sure.
Daily rate,
We use those in juvenile probation, some, or those, the juvenile probation on those or they rented units?
You know, I pay a bill for juvenile, I think they just lease theirs also.
I think they keep 2 or 3. I don't know if that, I'm not sure if they're rented, or if they're juvenile probation department.
I don't know, I'd have to look at an invoice and see if it's just for monitoring or if it's for, but we do pay an invoice.
What is the cost per unit?
$500
500?
on the reduced rate, from the 600, they might $200 a unit off on the special.
What happens if they break?
They pay them. They
Well,
pay
that's
for
why
it.
they put the deposit, they
Yeah.
put the deposit up.
You're covered either way, so it's.
Oh, they have to pay.
That's breaking.
Yeah.
Well, if they did cut them off, can you mail them back and they refurbish them?
Yep. Yes. Sure can. But I just see it makes it better, makes more sense for me that we put more money in our pocket than it would be just keep paying out to somebody.
It's a little less paperwork too, because
Yes.
we have to wait and then they have to turn it in and then we have to go a big circle.
It's like zigzag back and forth.
Yeah.
Travis, you have any input here?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, there's a lot of times these guys are ready to get out and they can't. They have to wait at least 4 days for that ankle monitor to get there, so that's costing us money, taxpayers money.
So I guess they, if we had them, they wouldn't activate them until.
Until we ask them back there.
So I mean, as soon as they get out of the bond conditions and they have to have that ankle monitor, they would be able to get out right then, instead of waiting
Yeah.
at least 4 days.
So if we purchase them, it says daily rate of $266, but if we lease them, it's $3.50 a day. What we're gonna charge the residents?
We charge them more than what that
He
actually is.
usually,
Yeah.
he charged them more than what the, I mean, we made a little bit on it per day, but not much, just to monitor it,
It's at 90-something cents.
not much at all.
Is that being paid to the county or to the supplier monitor?
Paid us now. That would be a pain to the monitor.
Will that be a problem setting up account receivable for that monitor?
No, because we had the lines already created for it to go
And he brings a
into.
report when he brings the money, and he's got it all broke down, who pays it.
Because he gets the money from the person with the ankle monitor and then gives the money to us and then we pay the monitoring company.
Just cut out that one paying monitor company.
So we'll be in the business of renting monitors?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we purchase these, will they become obsolete?
These are guaranteed to 2030. These ones.
You keep up with Virginia.
Okay.
Okay, so this offer's good to the end of the year, that's fine.
Yep.
Right, policy.
I make a motion, we go with this, put some more money back in our pocket. Make a better deal.
Motion.
Maybe you got that right now? Travis?
I mean, we have on them right now, I don't know for sure. I would be not telling you the truth.
Required.
Yes, Ethan, 19.
Yes, sir. Listen.
Yeah, I think Ken's got overshooting, but I think we ought to go ahead and buy them and use
Well, I'm bringing off of there. I didn't realize $500 unit cost didn't do it. I thought it would be much higher. Also,
them. I'll go, yeah, I'll second it, but like I said, I think Ken's got overshooting.
will, some of them have to turn theirs in, ones get out.
Yeah,
I see where we came pretty close to that,
yeah.
being out.
I think 8 to 9, we talked.
We up to, motion up to 10.
10, yeah.
Up to 10.
And that's Scram.
Ground solution.
Screen.
Scrap.
Motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Rogers, to purchase up to 10 ankle monitoring units from Scram, whatever the Scram names, I guess that's an acronym. All in favor?
And I also have approval, I'll have to move money from contingency. We have money in there, but that's to pay back the deposit of the, back to the people.
We can do that when we get the,
Sir?
we can do that when we get them in, or get the invoice.
Yeah, I can, once I get the invoice, yes, I can move money from contingency. There's some budget in that line, but that's what we're paying the deposits back to the people as they get off the monitors. We give them their deposit back if they pay all of their fees. If they haven't, Cliff deducts that from the deposit, and we usually, most of the time, we don't pay them back all the $400.
What are you saying?
I may have to move some money out of contingency into that ankle monitor line,
There's
but I'll wait till I get it.
adequate funding. There's
Sir?
adequate funding in the contingency.
Yes, sir.
$5,000.
Oh, yes, sir. There better be.
How many we get?
10.
Okay, item number 13 is to consider plan for crawfish and cannon event 2021 sale house. Now, Chris and I had a conversation, lasted about 15 minutes, about 10 days ago, and we were in agreement, or I thought that we were in agreement when we left that conversation to place this on the January the 11th agenda. So in light of that conversation, I'm going to move that we delay any consideration on that until that day, January the 11th, our next meeting.
Yeah, Judge, I had a conversation with her also, and I thought it'd be best to go ahead and get this, so that marketing can get started and we get it done. It's a redundancy of what we did last year. I mean, COVID kept us from doing it last year. And it's the same thing. I'm sure there's a few changes, but it's the same event at the same time of the year with our marketing partners as they presented it last year that we approved. So I don't see any reason why we can't go ahead and hear it today and act on it.
Do you mind, Judge Bullock, can I say something?
I'll let the motion lay on the table there. If it died, we'll have a second, we'll have a vote.
Stand up.
I think you need a second to hear discussion. Get that second, hear discussion.
Do you mind if I say something, Judge Bullock?
Well, okay, Chris, what would you like to say?
Sorry. I just wanted to apologize for any communication, of course, and then, if possible, we would like to be able to go ahead and at least get an approval to go ahead and start marketing this event, because we do have plans to have a big band come in, and we'd like to go ahead and get that going several months in advance. But if you'd like me to come back on January 11th and go through all the details of the plan to make sure that you all are comfortable with our security plan, et cetera, then I'd be more than happy to do that as well. We want to make sure you all feel comfortable with it. We're really excited about it and excited about the plan and the event and what it will do for tourism in Young County, but want to make sure this is a partnership, of course. So if that's okay, I'd like to do that. That way we can go ahead and announce what we're doing publicly. We just didn't want to get the cart before the horse and go ahead and announce. So I apologize that I confused the situation with dates.
There's really no need to apologize, because after we had that conversation, my agenda item is as important as anybody here at this table, so I decided to be a good time to do it while I was here and discuss it, since it's part of the Fort Belknap project. And,
We need to start on all that, all those things, how you're gonna protect the public from COVID virus and do all those things, we need to plan on file here before we make any decision on that, so, anyway.
Okay, and did you receive the pandemic plan that I sent over to you specifically?
Well, file that where I can distribute it.
I think the, just per the governor's order, it's your decision, I mean, you approved that individually. Not that I mind the commissioners obviously have a say in that and could offer some valuable insight, so I'm always open to that, but I think that specifically is to be approved by you as judge. No pressure. Do you want me to go ahead and hand these out so you all will have them and can look over them? This is just the basic security plan that we prepared with Sheriff Babcock and Chief Bullock and a few others also. You want me to go ahead?
I would say yes. Chris, how does this differ from last year's plan?
Really, it's very similar. Of course, last year we incorporated the Good Night Loving Run, and we want to do that again. We saw some success with that last year. So hopefully this year, not hopefully, this year we will actually be able to have the run in person and not go to a virtual run. We had about, correct me if I'm wrong, 125 people sign up to participate last year, which we were very encouraged by, and feel like that was a strong sign that this was an event that people were excited about, interested in participating in, so hope to grow that this year. And then for Crawfish Buchanan's, the plan is very similar. The bands are different that we're going to announce hopefully very soon. But other than that, very similar to our plan last year, which we put a lot of thought into, and you all had as well, a lot of brainstorming and making sure that it was good for Young County, good for showing off our fort, and good for our residents here as well. So I think it's a solid plan, good for tourism, and I hope that we can make it happen this year.
Well, as you know, the HOT was developed and passed because it's going to help develop the area of that particular venue. So it's good use of the money, and it's a good project and an activity we had out there. So thank you very much for your hard work.
Absolutely, yes, we appreciate the partnership we have with Young County to help promote tourism, and I think the fort is one of the best asset that we have as a county as far as tourism is concerned. I think it's just underutilized right now, but we've been making a lot of progress, making a lot of headway. I haven't been in a while to give you all an update, but I think social media has been good. We've had a few videos out there and some news coverage and some of that, which is great because, and Mr. Heyman may be able to speak to this more so than myself, but we do hear people who see that and didn't know it existed, which is, it's sad for me to hear because I grew up knowing about Fort Belknap and love Fort Belknap, but there are people out there, even in Texas, to be honest, even in our own county, that don't know the history and don't know it exists. So we want to make sure they're able to learn and take advantage of that and share in that rich history that area has to offer.
Sheriff, have you looked over this plan?
Yes, sir.
Fort Belknap wasn't reconstructed for these kinds of events, and it's got pretty delicate infrastructure there that when you get these large events, they're very difficult on the fort. And the fort's kind of a fragile jewel. The history of it is resurrected, I guess reconstructed, if you will, in 1936. The Great Harbor, there's obviously some features there that weren't there at the original, with the original fort, including the wall around it. There's been an effort through the years to try to get that into a state park, and the state will not take that because of the limited acreage and because it sits in the neighborhood environment. So, large activities are difficult on the fort. I get concerned whenever we start having those things. We used to have a fourth event, sponsored by the Kiwanis, I believe. That was the hardest activity on the fort of anything that we have. Construction and reconstruction of the fort is for historical purposes, for having history kind of events, for educational things, for schools, and light foot traffic coming and going, some tours, day-long deals, but these kind of events can cause problems at Fort Belknap. So I'm concerned about Fort Belknap. We've got a lot of history there.
Judge, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate what you're saying. We're not suggesting that we have a Woodstock out there. We had the Fourth at the Fort for several years, and as far as I know, there was no non-recoverable damage done to that fort. We're asking to introduce through this event to people in the North Texas area at an event that they can come back and share the history of Fort Belknap. History is important, but the fact that we've got the hot tax that's helping us develop that fort and secure its future was built on the fact we need to use it for tourism. That being said, we've got to invite people there. I have recently read letters from the 50s that said, I'm encouraged that we had 25,000 visitors to the fort this year. There was an event where the governor was here and there was 5,000 people there.
Well,
And we recovered from that. We did not destroy the fort. And I know there's people around that fort that are residents who just don't like the fort being used. It's their neighborhood and they don't like seeing a lot of people over there. They don't like the noise, they don't like the activity. And some of those are past caretakers. But I can tell you that this fort is important enough that we need to be sharing it with the outside world and letting them know that the history exists. How can we tell the history if they don't show up to look at it?
well, that's what it's for.
And if they show up to get a plate full of crawfish and notice that we have a historical site here, many people don't even know it exists. And that's a shame because it's a really nice deal. And the money that we're putting into the fort now will pay dividends later. We're about to redo the septic systems. We got the electricity working. We got a museum. The grass is going to grow back. We were concerned with the Great Harbor. It's coming back bigger and better than ever. And that's another thing that people need to see. So I respectfully disagree with your assessment of the fort. All ecosystems and all environments are sensitive to destruction, but I don't see this being a destructive event at any rate. That's just my opinion.
I think that also, if it's something, that the commissioners feel strongly about, we could reassess the plan, the annual plan, and decide if there's a different way to market tourism in Young County other than using Fort Belknap as our tourism attraction. But I think that was in the annual plan as what we were going to use to attract people. So per those hot tax regulations, we have to use that money to generate tourism, and so.
There's a sense of county money that needs to be spent on a county resource.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you've got local hotel tax that works within the city, but that's the major venue for tourism in the county, and that money was earmarked for the use of Fort Belknap when we passed the HOP.
just want to make sure I'm doing what you all think is best and also, of course, what is legal. Both of those things. And Mr. Burr is here with Wildcatter Ranch. He's also on the CBB board, so I asked him to come because he's kind of helped us to make sure that this does benefit our hotels and resorts in Young County as well, because that's really who, we want this to be good for the fort, good for our residents here, but we also, of course, want to see that boost in occupancy that weekend.
It's beds.
Very important.
Who's the owner and operator of this Gypsy trailer?
They operate under Brothers Smokehouse, but it's Sydney Smith is the owner of Gypsy Trailer. And I also, you asked me this, and I apologize that I left out, but the Texas Fork Trails, is that right? They have selected Fort Belknap as their location for the wine festival they do every year. They had it in Albany last year and would like to have it in conjunction with Crawfish and Cannons this year, which I think is a natural, I mean, I don't think crawfish and wine necessarily go together very well. Personally, which was my first response when Grant brought this to
More
me.
beer and iced tea.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that much, but you know, I think that'll be a nice compliment, and we'll also feature that gorgeous grape arbor.
There's another story that needs to be told, is the winery at Fort Belknap.
Absolutely, I think so too. And then we're working with the high school barbecue team, the Smokin' Steers, the Graham High School barbecue team, to see about doing like another food option. That would be a good fundraiser for them, but also provide some other food options, since there are some people out there who don't prefer crawfish. And then working with, or trying to work with, and Grant's been in contact with the Alney schools and Newcastle schools to see if they have any need for fundraisers and groups that would like to take advantage and maybe do like bottled water, bottled soda, something like that. That way we want people, you know, to benefit from this. We want our residents to enjoy it, other groups to benefit from it. We want to see it increase tourism.
Well, it's also helped increase the number of family reunions. I know in my early years, that my family attended family reunions at Fort Belknap. We were pretty hard on it then, but it's still there, still standing, grass is still growing, sun is still shining on it. So I think this is a good event.
And Jim, you have repeat, right, from people who have attended the event and then come back?
Yes, numerous people expect, they love crawfish, or they love cannons, or they love those, and they come back.
You know, since we've not had one, since we planned that one last year, and we haven't planned one, I certainly see that the risk reward is, the ratio is very good so far as the board, and we should have it to find out exactly what happens. And I don't think that any of us here would allow the fort to be mistreated or destroyed in any way. And it's for the enjoyment of everyone and for the benefit of the folks in Young County to have this event and to have the fort out there. It was sitting out there, it was decaying, and now all of a sudden it's being polished and shined up, and it's become a real tourist spot, mecca for historians and school children.
I think the issue with that terminology of decay.
I think it is less run down than it once was, and I think we're all more proud to invite people to come, you know, whether it be our family or
There's still some decay out there we need to take care of.
progress.
Septic systems for sure. I think there's more electricity going on being rebuilt in the museum.
Also, for what it's worth, on the risk reward, the CBB is actually taking on the financial risk related to the event, which of course we saw last year was, you know, more risk than reward considerably. But in that plan, I think it was $2,000 was allocated to go towards this event in the annual plan. This event costs considerably more than $2,000 to host, but the CBB will cover the remainder of that cost. So the risk really is on the financial risk that is on the CBB.
there's a motion on the table, second, I think, to postpone consideration on this until January the 11th. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? What was that?
And money coming back January 11th.
It'd be great if I could get permission to go ahead and advertise now and come back and we'll agree on the plan moving forward. I just would like to go ahead and announce.
I don't think there'll be any difference in it. I'd like to look over a few things too.
We'll postpone other important items till that date.
Yeah, we'll be too close to it.
Trying to book a band and she doesn't book one.
I understand the problems. We're 90 days out. And it's 2 weeks until another meeting. Long time in the planning world.
And I'm not go over these protocols and all of this plan myself.
Well, that's a, okay.
I haven't had it yet.
Basically the same plan we approved last year.
Okay, question, I'll call the question. Two others voted in favor. All opposed?
Uh,
2-2. Okay, all in favor, since that issue on the motion actually failed 2-2 on the draw, we'll take up any other motion that might be offered.
I move that we approve the plan as presented by our marketing partner, CBB, for Crawfish and County.
I'll second that.
The motion's been made to approve this. Commissioner Sykes, seconded by Commissioner Wiley. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
That motion carries. We'll take this up on January the 11th.
So I don't need to advertise again.
Item number 14, consider burn restrictions. Pretty dry now.
It is raining tomorrow, this weekend.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Could be some winter mix.
Ooh.
What it said, I hope it's just got a wintry mix. I hope it's not too wintry, and I hope it's pretty wet.
It's pretty
It'll
wet.
be way too warm for it to be probably.
Pretty wet.
Any consideration there? No action?
Take a little break before we handle this.
Yeah. 10-minute break.
Probably got it. He's just signing it.
I didn't do.
Feels good to get that.
Oh, the judges don't. Good idea.
You should have seen Sherman out in the bar, just raffle. Oh, okay. I'm sure they're not getting
That's
Just one of them, on two products.
What do you know, Lord?
Just one more out, just one more out.
The tax is not.
I don't know what y'all are seeing, but we're seeing an increase in fuel.
That's state law.
Got insurance renewals the other day, we were actually gonna set put, we thought. Got insurance renewals the other day, they're, I don't know what we're gonna do about the labor system.
I'm just careful to.
Government keeps giving away more money than we can afford to pay. We've lost some people,
Your agenda item.
we've been laughed at, our labor rates because of what they can draw sitting home.
Call somebody out like that.
But we got our fingers crossed.
Chastity. Gives you the record of everything I want to know.
We can do grade five soon.
Man, it's.
We're actually stopping at Toledo right now, we've got certain contractors started using it again with both stuff.
I learn new stuff all the time,
We'll
so.
stop full time, grade five over there.
Right, I know.
You would not walk on the grass. Walk on the wall.
History shows. Other words, some of the.
We'll, I'm sitting there going, try to help you feel it. They're gonna go up the Shilco bid, so you give me a shout, we're trying to rattle some of the Shilco.
Did what? You got
A
what?
little bit.
Like they're.
You need to get Chris or somebody down here.
That's stainless
Help
steel
you
guys
guys
with
with
all trees. I'm like, y'all need to want to go sit on the shed.
That museum has always been a predicament of the folks who live in this county who think they know something
Yeah.
and they give it. And so as not to embarrass anybody or cause any hard feelings, they accept it at face value what that person told them.
You're 100% correct.
Now then, if you want to start fights, then send that pistol back to Nicholas David, said you're full of crap, this is not what this belongs. Right?
Well, I'm just saying.
Be careful saying it too loud.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I said there was more original than what it said in there.
It's a representation of what the pistol was at the time.
Yeah, it is.
Just
Just
like
like the
the,
workload this
Comanche
year
boat.
coming up, yeah, like
It's
that.
not an 18 or
He's
30
got
or 40
that one in
inch
so
boat,
that's the only one.
but it
we
was
got.
given to the Ford by Quanah Parker's son-in-law,
Hopefully he'll be out
which
with
gives him a great deal of.
Well,
different
he
ways.
did too. He did too, it worked out that way, so.
Is that it? Flip it over.
I bet you guys,
Page
his
202,
situation
sorry,
may be
Dave.
different. He pretty much was overloaded last year.
Like I said,
I won't say overloaded, but he's probably got more capability. That's part of your competitive edge, you never know what's gonna
Stop
happen.
hanging over the candles.
A lot of kids nowadays don't get told to get.
Let me tell him they did that.
You can step outside here for just a second.
521,
Sure, thank you.
1841.
Since you're still doing a lot of things.
I'm gonna be doing a lot of things.
You need to talk to
Sorry,
your
Chad.
Peachy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm gonna post, Commissioner.
If I didn't have to get up every 2 hours,
Just
just
give me
give
a
me drop some eyes.
You come by sometime?
Did you have something done to them,
We're
or?
doing
No,
face-to-face.
I had,
And
I'll
whenever
make some
something
drinks
you're.
Okay, how about tomorrow?
a week ago Sunday.
I'll be there.
And by, well,
I'll be in tomorrow, I'll give you a call.
off
All right, so
of
good.
Good.
Oh, bless you.
Well, in that process, it got infected. Well, the doctor said, well, I don't know how you got this into your eye, but you're gonna have to take these pills and this for like a month. So,
I got peppermint oil in my eye last night while I was driving, and I couldn't.
how
And
did
it-
you keep driving?
I just closed one eye and kept going. I didn't really have a lot of choice. I was wiping and pouring and wiping. And every time I turned my rag, I swear I turned it back into more peppermint oil. And so I just kept re-rubbing it into my eyes. I got this crap out of my eye. But it just poured and poured. So eyes are not fun. I can't imagine having a contact. It's not
Laura?
good.
I passed that information you gave me about the Ethics Commission over to the individual that was asking.
Yes.
He found it to be very informative.
I just work here, I don't even.
Did you ever look at it?
Very, 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 very rarely.
How much of your voter identity do you have to give up to be EA?
What do you think?
Researching who's giving money to who.
Oh, I don't care. I don't care.
And there's that.
So if the Communist Chinese Party,
I don't
you
have an
don't
idea.
care.
I'm only the filing authority. I don't even look at those.
You're also a citizen.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't look at it when people file stuff with me. And
Yeah.
honestly, only local candidates file with me, so really, once you get out of anything higher than D and Judge Briscoe, I don't have a clue what happens as far as.
Really? Isn't our senator a local election?
That's copies of bids. I'm not coming back.
Yes, but it's a state level district, so they don't file with me. They file with the state.
There's 135 pages of donations to Shelley Luther.
Well, I've seen people around here get several pages for running for sheriff or dog catcher or whatever
Something
else.
I've never done is taken any kind of campaign.
And some do and some don't. It's totally personal preference. You know, I've had candidates.
I don't want to
come in-
seem beholden to anybody.
Right. The actual form that I have candidates fill out as far as locally, blank is 17 pages, I think, and it allows for everything from tax to loans to credit card debt to everything.
Right.
So, honestly, I'm only the receiver, and I stick it in my file, and if anybody comes and looks for it, they can have it, but I don't look at it because I don't care. Who you take money from is your problem, not mine. It's kind of like taking a birth certificate. I mean, two people have a baby, and that's all that we know. And,
I guess so.
you know, yes, as a voter, I look at some things and other things I don't, and it just depends on what's important to me that
Somebody
day.
called me about a couple of them that he'd found, including me. So let me ask you a political question. Why did you donate $54.54?
Because that's what you have in your pocket.
No, it was a campaign promotion from the party's wife who was doing it because he was turning 54 that day. It was a birthday.
No, in 2020, yeah.
He is 54.
Makes sense.
He said, I thought there was political reasons. No political reason.
You know, ethics commission has so many rules and regulations. Certain candidates, if they take more than so much money, they have to do something completely different. Certain candidates, what I remember, can't take donations of so much money. Like, it's really deep, and that's something that the state's told us as EAs not to know anything about. That way we don't tell somebody something incorrectly, so.
They tell us not to grade people's driveways.
There's that too. But yeah, I'm only the filing authority for local, like Judge Briscoe and Dean, they don't even file their stuff with me. That goes to the state because it's a state level district.
I think the Republican Party is kind of fracturing over this election. Again, you don't even want to know that.
2020 is kind of fracturing a lot of things, including my sanity at this point. You know.
So when's the next election?
We won't go till after the governor canvasses this election, and he has until Saturday or Sunday to do that, so
So we'll know first part of next week, maybe.
potentially. Could know as early as Wednesday, but we have to say probably the end of the week.
You're telling me you figured it'd be the end of January.
Could be as
That's a little
early as,
early, isn't it?
no, could be as early as the end of January, could be as late as first couple of weeks of February. I think it's 25 to 45 days. He'll do it as quickly as he can because we've got to get people representing Young County.
He gave me 5 names.
I've heard as many as 10.
10.
Uh,
There's one name here he mentioned about discussing it with him.
Could be as many as 10. The other issue is we're gonna have a runoff as quickly as possible, and that could be both 12 days after the election. So by March, we should have somebody in office.
Session starts when?
January 15th. So for a month and a have to.
So there won't be anybody in that seat. Did he have to formally resign, or did the election formally resign? You know, any of those technicalities?
He had not, because he has not taken the oath for the House. He technically wasn't in office. I mean, he was in office from the last term, but he's not in office from this term. So he will just not take that office in January. He will take the Senate unexpired, and therefore that will leave a vacancy in the House.
Does he give the House notice that he's not accepting that seat?
I have no idea how that happens.
What do you mean technicalities are involved?
I'm sure if it's the state of Texas, there's about 900 pages worth.
It's pretty logical.
What they don't do with legislation, they do with regulation.
His position is not a resign to run. So he did not technically resign the minute he signed up to run, like others we've seen in the
Like
past.
Judge Brinkley has?
Or like the judge, other people in the building did, at some point.
Without knowing it?
So you're saying Santa Claus didn't come see
Did
you?
you get that email from Justin Brinkley?
Did you get that?
Yeah, I did.
About resigning?
I knew it was gonna happen. Don't worry, you're doing
They wanted him to run. He's a lawyer.
Didn't know where to sit,
He's a lawyer.
or what to
Make
do.
yourself at home.
That's one strike.
Stay down in this spot right there.
Do you know what's his name?
The guy with Jacksboro?
Which one?
It's the one you got commissioner sitting in one chair up there, right there.
Right there.
That's the David Spiller?
No.
Cheryl.
John Berry?
John Berry, that's just the way she is.
Got him Spiller also running.
Spiller's running. Is he the
Y'all
attorney too?
license it.
I don't know.
You'll have cleared up.
Spiller over there with his firm.
I haven't researched these guys yet. I'm just
What
collecting
I
names.
know about the commissioner guy, he's a pretty good guy.
Mayo.
This is gonna be the.
So he's resigning his commissionership then?
Yes, this is gonna be the shortest term.
They'll come in and bind off. the
21 days.
top, so they'll fall off.
Commissioner?
No, 21 days running
Oh,
on the race.
That's all.
Just trying to.
Very-
It could be as long as,
Short-term, dirty.
it could be as long as 45.
But
Can those people start running?
Yeah, they drilled the shot.
No, because the
Officially.
election has not been called yet.
I can't even
if
see
it's
it.
called, they can
I
run.
think there's one in Parker.
That'll be after
Drew mentioned one here in Graham.
Wednesday.
Or I know, that's a no.
Or was there, no, I wasn't home.
They shot first part of the week. I think.
Did that for a week, we went to Fort Worth, Tuesday. Yeah, Monday. I think.
Still through.
Oh, that one? That's not
I
the one I
think
heard.
they shot,
So you heard no?
I lied. Yeah.
I think they shot.
But you're, Brandon, you hear a lot of stuff around here.
I was gonna say, until stuff
I
hits
saw it
my
on
desk.
Facebook.
Yeah, until stuff hits my desk, it's not real. Until your name's spelled on ballots.
I think it's hard for me to keep up. What we're doing, where.
Oh, yeah, the national one.
John Berry,
When you're working
and I
that
work
hard,
for the Republican
hard to know
Party.
what day it is.
Pretty much.
And when you throw the holidays
Pretty well
in there, I really don't know. what-
Party circles.
Well,
Spiller, I
we're
don't
at
know
church
what he
yesterday,
does.
so day must be Monday. But I'm not real
They
sure.
have,
Everything else, I went to church.
Yeah.
Spiller,
We
Spiller,
have,
and then they'll have the,
church.
Elderhoff is-
A week off.
There you
Knows
go.
him through
There
something.
you go.
well, when you do,
I'm
when
no
you go to
joker.
run,
With the Christmas holiday coming in there, it's hard for me.
Does he work at Swan?
no, he does the,
We've been going at it so hard.
that's what the books are over
We
there,
have
to do research.
6 days a week and 24 hours a day for a little while now, and it's.
Glenn was real interested to see what, how much money the Wilks had given to, Shelley Luther's, gotten. I know, those guys told me they didn't have any money to buy this oil deal, so. I said, well, that's right, they didn't have the money to buy that oil
Probably talking
deal.
about Springfield.
Yeah.
It is brown material over there, even the rock's brown, so when you crush it, even when you got the dirt out of it, it's still.
You know, he flew over, you know?
Flying with a Chinese
I'll
drone.
tell you what, the boys got me.
Probably can't make that happen.
Well, I need
They-
somebody to come out and
Tell you
You
control
haven't
that
seen the
cow.
color of the ink in Jack County lately. I'll
They weren't
tell you
good.
that.
She's fast.
We need at least one less bit
The
over
what?
there, if not two.
It's a 22 caliber pellet.
That Jack County.
But it looks like an AR.
We've been working with the rip wrap from technology for the alley, for that job. It
What
wasn't
is she, about
bad.
1,200 feet per second? How much?
Ain't no ocean.
Thousands of feet per second?
Is,
It's smoking.
22 caliber?
The big stuff got all out of
Kill 'em.
I got the 223.
It'll just ring the hole out.
What kind of range you got?
Well,
Pretty much.
Ballistically, those pellets aren't all that great.
It's going, has been going away this fall lately.
I understand. Ballistically, they're not all that great.
Boys shot a sparrow on the fence, probably 50 yards away.
Right.
Fall Street and shoot.
Whatever they're calling that little program.
I mean, he didn't,
Protection, I guess.
Be fun to hunt squirrels, good.
he's going today.
It's amazing that these air guns have got higher velocities now than 22 rifles.
Oh,
I know
And everybody's shooting this subsonic ammo, which of course is under 1,100 feet per second.
it's amazing.
Yeah, you tell Spear and Berger that that pellet runs as fast as their bullets do. They're can't argue with you.
I know.
But it doesn't arrive with as much energy.
He comes, he uses a clip, but you insert a 10-shot clip, and
Yeah.
every time you back it up, gets another one in there after you shoot it. So that's better than doing one at a time.
hey, do you have this stuff dark candle?
I don't ask him. Don't push it in. Bohan does. Here, Bohan.
Gary, yeah, I knew he did.
He can tell you one thing about it, you can't do that to buffalo. The same dose, a cow or a buffalo will kill a buffalo.
Really?
Dead or not on it.
I've seen them pig hunt with them.
I've got 2 new cows. I've seen one of them. They unloaded her, that's the last time I've seen her.
You need dog.
Did you turn
You need dog.
I did.
I'm gonna get the son-in-law down here, and we're gonna take some real fast horses.
Dog is better.
Oldest being a housewife, I guess,
If I
I'm
put these
chasing
numbers
it.
in
Yeah,
the
don't
challenge
think
sheet,
me
it looks
very
weird, and I
I've
don't
got
really
some
like
aggression,
questions about it, so I'd rather leave it at 0 and tell you.
They gave me a big giant bear, I got a little turkey roll.
Oh, yeah. I got
2020 is
it.
not
Not the
the
same
not the
boat.
year to have weird election results.
Let the road burn, before I take her back to the sale.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess maybe that's not really.
Seems like to be the year to have actual.
Do you got 3?
It's about right for what it was. It's about the same clock as a May election would have had,
That will
so
do.
Yeah.
for what it was,
He's
I'm
back there,
fairly
he's playing
impressed.
that top of
There were a couple of days I was really. I think that last day I
You've
was
been
about
working on that all that time, he got her
I
done.
thought that forum they had might bring voters out.
It bumped a little bit.
Did it?
Yeah,
After that.
yeah. That first day was a pretty good run. And then the last day was when the leader came out with their second part of that story on the line, and I'm not sure that did push me a little bit too.
You still have quite a few absentee votes, do you?
Got a lot of absences. Of course, that's a residual list. If you apply once during the year, you get everything for the rest of the year. And so some of those are just, yeah, so,
I got a question.
okay.
How do we get an overvote
Mail-in
when there are
ballots.
2 contestants?
Mail-in ballots, they marked both
Okay.
candidates. Mail-in ballots are the most fun to watch.
They'll do it every time.
Oh, I'm telling you, last election, we had one voter who went through and marked every other candidate, no matter what race they were running. So we had lots of overvotes on that one because they marked 2 candidates for every.
Does that mean you're undecided when you mark both of them?
It means you got your pin out, you need to put it
You got, you can drive by either one of them.
They don't realize the
You can't get a vote,
invalidation
decide
results.
it.
Or you decided I ain't gonna vote.
Yeah, and some of them, I swear they think, well, I'm just gonna
Mark them.
mark it, I'd rather than send in a blank of it.
Then you
It's
got
easier
nine
to
other
adjudicate.
ones. Oh, no, that's undeveloped.
Why are you holding it upside down like
Because undeveloped says right there.
Oh, okay.
Third side one.
that? Okay.
9 undeveloped.
Yes.
Another question.
Okay.
Do they give any schools or educational activities in regard to canvassing these kind of votes?
To canvassing overs or unders or just total? You know, since we went to countywide, we don't have the ticker tapes like we always did in the past, and so you had 1,706 voters and 1,706 votes. And that's basically what you were doing with ticker tapes, is you'd say, okay, precinct 5 had 302 for Drew and 134, and that equals 436. And you would look for 436 precinct 5 ballots. It's the same idea, but since we do countywide, we don't have that breakdown necessarily of precinct by precinct anymore.
It's awful strange to me not having to count those sticks.
I can bring you some popsicle sticks and you can count those if you want to. If you've got that kind of time in your day.
I'm sure they count all their sticks right.
Yeah, I get it, and it is kind of a weird thing, but I've talked to other counties and they say this is what they do too. It's just really, we had 1,700 voters check in and we had 1,700 votes, and there you go, so.
Did that give you slide rule and figure that
I was calculating pretty hard.
Okay, we'll come back to order now with canvas, District 6, District 30 Senate race between Bruce Springer and Shelley Luther. We're here to canvass that election results, so we'll put it back in play for discussion.
Okay, there were 11,847 total voters eligible to vote in this election. There were 1,706 ballots cast across all 9 precincts. That constituted 14.4% of the turnout, which is about what we would expect from this. In Young County, Drew Springer won the election 1,114 to 582. Sorry, my coffee needs to kick back in on that. So he did handily win Young County, and then went on to win the district. We had 450 ballots by mail that counted. We had a handful of others that were rejected due to signatures missing or not matching up. We had 11 total provisionals and 10 of those counted. So we had pretty good turnout as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, the absentee voting, that's going to constitute all the mail.
That's all the mail-in ballots, yes, sir.
Is he gonna have to run again next year?
At the end of this term, I would
Yeah, because it's an
expect
unexpired term, so he'll have to,
2 years.
yeah.
He gets the rest of the year then.
I'm glad somebody does.
Yeah, it's a whole lot like still being in the House running every 2 years.
Yeah.
Part of the reason that the senator got some advantage over a House member is that they're not running for their office all the time. Not that they're not.
So just over 25% of votes were cast by mail ballots.
11,847 total voters. Yes, sir.
14.9%.
14.4.
Oh.
4. You need to listen different.
I did 5%, 25% off. Give or take, plus or minus. I'll make a motion we approve, as shown before us.
I'll second.
And I don't remember who all was in the room when I said this a minute ago, but the governor has, from Wednesday to, I believe, Sunday, to canvass his portion of the election. And so we should know when the House election will be coming, hopefully by the end of the week, or first part of next week. There will still be several days worth of filing time plus withdrawal time. So we're looking at probably a first week or so of February election day. That includes 2 weeks of early voting, and then I've heard as many as 10 candidates, and so I'm also planning a runoff for the end of February, because that election has to happen nearly immediately. That one will require 1 week of early voting. All of this is payable by the county, and so I hope that contingency has more than the $5,000 in it, because
I wonder how.
they're not sending any money for this.
How much the session they're gonna miss?
At least 2 months, because by the time you get all that done and you get all the deadlines passed, you're into the middle of
Can't miss
March.
it again.
You're into the middle of March, and session ends at the end of May.
Well, they've got 10 more months to do it, so
Well,
it's gonna be an all year.
They can do all the damage they need to in a short period of time.
All the good stuff happens in the last 2 weeks anyway.
Well, they're filing bills already, aren't they?
Oh, they have been since the first of November. There's already hundreds.
They already filed their House bill.
Yeah.
It's 9 something.
What, the SB 29 bill or the,
That's between that.
I think the judge had another number for it the other day.
What's the Senate bill 29 do now?
What's the non-taxpayer monies for lobbyist bill?
234, I believe.
234, yeah.
234?
But they're up to the 900s in the House.
Same guy.
All, yeah, all, yeah.
I thought he retired.
Huh?
I thought Bob Hall retired.
Well, I don't remember if his name's Bob or not, but it's.
Yeah, it is. Bob Hall, yeah.
He decided not to retire.
I
I
believe
guess,
it's 234. Like this.
I think this morning on my election bills email, they were up into the 900s.
I'm moving to rescind our exception under SB 2, wasn't it? We'll leave it alone.
I hope they do.
Okay, I guess, motion would be in order to
You had a motion.
approve the results, the canvass of the special election for Young County and Senate District.
We've already done that.
Or-
I think you already have a
Most of
motion.
those
Have a motion and second.
Okay.
No, he didn't say.
Wiley and Stacy, Wiley and Stacy Rogers.
Wally and Rogers.
Can we give you a different name, because I'm gonna get real messed up with the Stacy's.
Call him Naked Head.
I can come up with something.
Call him Naked Head, different man.
I'm at Lonnie's got a few, we probably didn't repeat them out loud.
Results after. All in favor? Four.
All right, as soon as I have dates, I'll send them up. Okay. Order some more elections.
Okay, then on the date set for the next one, yeah,
Not till probably the end of the week or first of next week.
usually it'll be into January.
End of January, first week of February, yeah. Timeline is 25 to 45 days after he orders the election. So they'll do it probably sooner rather than later. And I begged the secretary to not do it on a Saturday. I begged them.
I know there's 2 candidates that's filed for that.
Well, nobody's filed for it. They may have said
Well,
something,
they
but they,
announced, no
yeah,
file, it announced.
yeah, they may have their campaign treasurer out for
I
that.
don't know how many others that
I've heard as many as 10, but I don't have anything official on that.
Well, I mean, there's 2 actually announced.
Yeah. Yeah. So they probably filed their campaign finance stuff. So,
So. Anything else?
as soon as I hear something, I'll let you know. But
Okay.
that's gonna be somewhere in the $12,000 to $15,000 range as far as paying for the first election, and then probably another 8 to 10 for the runoff that most likely would come. So, I'm real good at spending tens of thousands of dollars overnight.
Well, I think we probably need to stress on our, while we still have the opportunity to stress on our elected officials to oppose those voice silencing bills or silence all voices. Either one.
I'm nervous how a legislative session will go when the public can't come in and tell their story to their elected officials in person. Because I don't know about you, but I don't think COVID testing every day is going to attract a lot of folks. It's already proving to be difficult for our EA group to get in and send our folks down there to even have meetings. So
Well, I'm telling you,
it's gonna be a rough session. And I don't remember, there's already 100 some odd election bills that have been filed. Some of them are almost decent, most of them are,
okay, you're in election circle there. So, do you get any feedback from any other or you get any information from any other states other than Texas?
I hear things, I don't necessarily pay a lot of attention. You know, I get asked that question about how did other states do such and such, or how did they find a whole box of votes somewhere, and honestly, every state's got so many weird pieces of their election law, I don't really have any understanding as to how things may or may not happen, but, yeah, I mean, I hear stuff, and I'm on an email list that talks about election security, and if there's some kind of breach through Homeland or something like that, we get an email.
I guess what I'm really getting down to is the Dominion software. Actually, I think it's still called Dominion.
It is still called Dominion. As far as I understood, there were questions, but I don't know that any of them were actually ever really proven. Dominion is not certified in the state of Texas because the Secretary's office didn't feel like it was as accurate as some other options that the state has. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't buy it in the state of Texas. I don't know, Texas has to be both federally and state certified before you can buy equipment. I don't know that every state is that way, and so there may be some states that have either state or federally uncertified.
Okay. Are you telling me Texas would only consider those that have been certified
By the U.S. and the state. So only ES&S and HART are certified vendors in the state of Texas.
Well, is either one of those, what do you say, they have to be certified by the United States?
Right, that's what took ours so long when we certified them, almost 4 years ago now, is they got stuck in that federal cycle on somebody's desk. The paperwork got stuck on somebody's desk, and that's why it took us so much longer to get it, because the state of Texas won't even touch it until after the feds have already certified it.
So the federal government did certify the Dominion. So
I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know that every state requires that the federal government certifies.
elections are pretty well state government ran, so
Yes,
I guess the only federal elections we actually have is president, vice president.
yes, but those are still run by the states and fall under state rule and state law.
Well, there's a lot of talk about
There is a lot of talk, and I had some lady call and tell me I needed to do research about it and all this kind of stuff, and I very politely told her, ma'am, I don't have that kind of time to research something that's not even available to me. You know, company like me, you know, trying to certify or research a car that I will never be able to afford. It doesn't do me any good to sit and look at it if there's not anything I'm
claims
interested
that
in.
the Dominion is easily hacked.
I've heard that as well, but I have no firsthand knowledge of it whatsoever.
Probably have one on it,
He was designed for Cesar Chavez's group so that he could get reelected over there in the budget to start with. What the Dominion software was designed for. It is what it is.
Works everywhere.
So, I feel like our elections are quite honest. It does, we got an email just before Christmas from Hart saying that we were due for a free update to our equipment to bring it back up to, or bring it up to the next level. And this is the last free update we will get for some time. They're wanting to do it as quickly as possible, and when I reminded them that we would have 2 more elections before May, I said, I don't know that we can do it, just because of the timeline issues, and they were quite understanding, and he takes good care of us, but, I told him if I could squeeze it in, we would, but I don't know that we can, because that requires us getting out every single machine and putting in new
I wouldn't,
software updates. I'm not real crazy about
I
doing that on
wouldn't
the
do that
crunch.
in between this,
No.
I'd wait till this stuff's over with.
Yeah, and I may even push it as far as summer to get past the May elections, depending on what kind of May elections we end up with. Since everybody was pushed to November, I don't know that we'll even have Mays, but we might, so. I'd rather leave it till we have time to actually do it.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So, moved.
Always up for adjournment.
Second. Second. Rogers?
some angry individuals in here on this desk, end of this?
Me,
Have you had some angry individuals on the end of this desk?
Yeah, on the desks.
On the desk?
on the desk, somebody, the table's starting to split.
Really?
Yeah. We have a separation problem
I
here.
haven't even noticed it.
It's cracking down here too, just dry.
It's just dry, yeah.
See where it started right there?
Yeah.
Started right down through here.
Yeah, there's about an 8-inch crack down here.
You haven't been found in them there?
No, I ain't had no need to.
Got 2 of them down here.
So you got them down here too?
And in the middle, it looks like on all the edges.
I bet we need to hold this thing where we give it a little bit more. Keep it from continuing to do that.
Bring 430 weight next month.
Yeah.
Just hose it down a little bit.
All right, nice flash.
And you?
So you're thirsty sometimes, just let me know.
I'll give you a call.
Yes, sir.